Welcome and what is up there, everybody? This is Casper with Casper Crypto, back here again with some insane Dogecoin news for you guys. And this stuff is absolutely gonna shake the markets, in my opinion, because if one place does this, a lot of places will follow. And we're gonna be talking about exactly what this is in today's video. But before we get into it, I'd really appreciate you guys could smash that like button below and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys have not yet. I'd really appreciate it a ton. Alright, so getting started, we can see that Dogecoin is currently at around 36 cents per Doge. We did have a small drop today, but nothing major, only a drop by about 2%. And we had this huge run up in the beginning of the week because of the Coinbase listing, where a textbook example of buy the rumor, sell the news actually happened, where Coinbase released the rumor that, hey, we're releasing Dogecoin. The price of Dogecoin spiked up from 31 cents, all the way from 31 cents to 44 cents in like the span of what? This was from June 1st to June 2nd. This was in less than 24 hours. And after that, once Dogecoin actually got released on Coinbase, the thing everyone was anticipating, it dumped all the way back down. What happened was a simple buy the rumor, sell the news example. And then since then, we've just been consolidating. So what's the next move for Dogecoin? Well, I think these news are going to help you figure that out really clearly. So if you guys don't know, the president of El Salvador, right here, by the way, sick profile pic, don't you think? The president of El Salvador is actually going towards mainstream adoption of Bitcoin in the country of El Salvador. What he's doing is he's trying to make Dogecoin legal tender in the country of El Salvador. And the reason for this, there's actually a lot of reasons for this, but this is actually huge news because if one country adopts Bitcoin, then what do you think other countries are going to do? You think other countries are going to sit around and be like, okay, that's cool? No. Other countries, once they see probably El Salvador is going to adopt Bitcoin, and then once they see it's actually doing pretty well, what do you think other countries are going to do? Other countries are going to get into this as well. And then once other countries get into it, people are going to be like, hey, don't you think our country's missing out? Look at all these countries getting into Bitcoin. Let's do it too. Going to cost a massive amount of FOMO. So if you take a look, the 2017 bull run, that you could say, I guess, was that was because of retail investors FOMOing in, right? This was probably because of retail investors FOMOing in, and that drove the price of Bitcoin like 20x since the beginning of the bull run. This year, what I think could be happening is not only huge companies that are getting in, institutions that are buying into Bitcoin, but I also think that it might be countries that are FOMOing in near the end of the bull run, where countries are trying to get into mainstream adoption of Bitcoin in their own country and starting to use it as legal tender. So basically, we can see the reason why the president of El Salvador is actually going towards this direction is it stated in this article that it's a way to help boost their GDP. He said that Bitcoin has a market cap of $680 billion. We can click on this really quick. And if 1% of it is invested in El Salvador, that would increase our GDP by 25%. And if we take a look at their GDP, according to Google, it may not be 100% accurate, but El Salvador's GDP is around 27 billion. So the reason why it didn't really shake the markets yet, this just one country joining in, I think if others will follow, it'll definitely start moving the markets. But the reason why it didn't really move the market is because their GDP isn't really too large and people aren't expecting a lot of people from El Salvador to be going right into Bitcoin right away and then pumping up the price of Bitcoin in any way, especially since their GDP isn't too high. And obviously, not every single dollar of their GDP will be converted into Dogecoin. So you just need to keep that in mind. But I think if other countries follow with larger GDPs, we'll definitely see some big movements. But yeah, going back to the tweet, on the other side, Bitcoin will have 10 million potential users and the fastest growing way to transfer $6 billion a year in remittances. So basically what's happening is a lot of people who are emigrating out of El Salvador are then, for example, people who emigrate out of El Salvador to, let's say, the US, oftentimes they send money back to El Salvador to their parents, their family, just to help them out, because they probably go to more to countries that have better economic opportunities, and they send money back to their home country. And what they're trying to do is say, hey, well, why don't we just use Bitcoin for those kinds of transactions? Why can't we allow Bitcoin to facilitate these transactions for probably way lower fees than trying to send like US dollars across the world in like a box, or I don't know, right? So just using Bitcoin would be a much more effective way of payment than just trying to transfer money in any other ways to their home country, right? But this actually gets a lot deeper, so make sure to stay tuned for this part. So 70% of Salvadorians lack bank accounts. That's a big part of the population that doesn't have bank accounts, because people can transmit Bitcoin to relatives and businesses on their smartphones without the need for a bank account. The move to make Bitcoin legal tender could help achieve the moral imperative of financial inclusion and provide a space where some of the leading innovators can reimagine the future of finance, potentially helping billions around the world. So if we take a look, this is actually a huge percentage of Salvadorans that don't currently have bank accounts. And if they don't have bank accounts, maybe a better way for them to start managing their money and start having a way to store their money is Bitcoin, where they could create their own wallets and Bitcoin wallets and store their money there. And I wouldn't be surprised if El Salvador's currency was also getting inflated because of the whole illness situation, like the rest of the globe is. I can't even think of one country that's an exception to this. But yeah, where do you think Salvadorans would rather put their money? Into Bitcoin, an asset that doesn't inflate at all because there's a cap at the amount of Bitcoins that could ever be mined? Or would they rather put it in their home currency, where it's probably inflating by at least, well, like the base amount of inflation in the US is like 2% per year minimum. And this year I bet it's going to be like 30%. I don't even know exactly. But would they rather put it into a highly inflating currency or Bitcoin, which doesn't inflate at all? Well, I think you already know the answer to that. They'll probably want to put their money to Bitcoin. And why is this important for Dogecoin? Well, when Bitcoin moves, Dogecoin moves. As you can see, many different examples throughout the whole bull run. Whenever Bitcoin starts moving, a lot of other cryptocurrencies follow. And I think that these are some big news for Dogecoin as well, because just mainstream adoption of crypto in general. Who says that some countries aren't going to start allowing people to trade all cryptos? And what do you think other people are going to want to do? They're going to want to try to get into Dogecoin. I mean, the whole world's talking about Dogecoin. Why not buy some Dogecoin and trade it, you know? So why is El Salvador adapting Bitcoin? Just a few quick mentions right here that you need to pay attention to. We can see that the U.S. Federal Reserve has dramatically expanded the supply in circulating U.S. dollars as measured by the M2 money stock from 15.35 trillion in February 2020 to 20.26 trillion in May 2021. So within just a little over a year, the increase of US dollars increased by 32%, which is an insane amount. I wouldn't be surprised that this is like one of the record highs in US history. And all this inflation is causing people to try to go and run away from the US dollar and go into places that put their money into assets that don't inflate as highly as the US dollar, because you don't want to be losing 30% every year just by holding your money in cash. Like, you could invest in a stock. The stock, even if it were to drop 10%, you would still be in a better position than if you were investing in just cash, which isn't even an investment. So that's basically what's going on with El Salvador. And I personally think that once El Salvador makes this decision and they get everything done legal-wise, then I think a lot of countries will start to follow. And that's going to start pushing us out of this Bitcoin rut where we're currently just bouncing up and down from nowhere. And we're going to start making some moves upwards. So that's basically it for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.